And good evening, and welcome to our 11th session of The Between. So this is a PBTA game of Gothic Monster Hunters in Victorian London, written by Jason Cordova and published by The Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing group, which is also how this game was arranged through the online gaming calendar that we have there. So if you want to check that out, find out more about this game, or find out more about the podcast and the various other publication stuff that we do, you can find more information on that at gauntlet-rpg.com, and I'll put a link to that down below. Excuse me. So yeah, as I said, this is our 11th episode at this point, so we'll go kind of into our usual beginning of session process. So I'll ask each of us to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about what happened last time, and then we'll leap into the action. So as ever, Jose, I'll start with you if that's okay.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jose, and my pronouns are he and him, and I'm playing Lady Camila. Her pronouns are she and her, she uses the Explorer playbook. And so last time, Lady Camila, wow, I'm trying to remember what happened last time. I know that we solved the mystery of Cremore Gardens, that it was James Whistler who was the a monster, but we also spirited James away because we knew that the mastermind was somehow involved in this and might take some kind of enact some kind of retribution against James. So we spirited him away somewhere. He may return, who knows? I don't know how Fujisawa will feel about that. But then I believe, yeah, that was the main thing that I remember, the solving of the Cremore Gardens. And we collected some new clues on the Gin Lane murders. And I think we are maybe in a position to resolve. I can't quite remember. But we realized that there was this whole conspiracy involving the Abernethys and the Society Obscura. And I believe that will probably take up some of our bandwidth this coming evening. So that's what I remember. I'm looking forward to the game.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And Elle.
Yeah, I'm Elle, pronouns are she, her. I'm playing Fujisawa, the factotum, who also uses she, her pronouns. Last time, Fujisawa went to a somewhat awkward lunch with a former paramour, the daughter of the proprietor of Cremorne Gardens, which helped us get enough clues to figure out that James Whistler was the person perpetuating the hoax of the sea creature roaming the gardens. Fujisawa also had a brief encounter with a mysterious boy named Greco, who revealed that he also sees spirits. So maybe we'll see more of him soon. And tensions continue between Fujisawa and her employer, our vessel, Priyanka Balakwa, who unfortunately is not here today for the session. But yeah, Fujisawa is sinking ever more into the depths of bitterness and disillusionment with her job.
That's brilliant, thank you very much. And Brian.
I'm Brian, he, him. I'm playing Professor Alois Cockburn, he, him. And Alois returned from getting knocked upside the head at the gardens for a drunken tea with Priyanka. He, nursed his head wound, I guess. And yeah, and then in resolving the let me see. So it was the Cremon Gardens threat. Well, we were answering the question. Eloise revealed that he had withheld information about Madame Tussauds undersea exhibit, and that whoever was perpetuating the hoax might have had access to those supplies in creating the creature, and has thus brought a bit of suspicion of untrustworthiness on himself. So then in the evening, when it was time to go resolve that threat, having just been knocked upside the head there, decided he would slink off by himself, and went to sneak into the satanic mill and managed to make use of his new habit for his booze habit to share some drinks with some of the guards and drug them so that he could sneak himself in and find the circle of power surrounding the furnace at the center of the mill.
Excellent, thank you very much. So yeah, indeed. So we resolved last time the creature of Cremon Gardens. We answered the final question for the Gin Lane murders, though have not yet resolved it. So I'll just quickly remind us where we are on that one. So yes, so the Gin Lane murders. So the question that you answered was, if there's a pattern to the murders, the spirit is acting under the direction of a Dionysian cult. Who is the mastermind behind the cult, and what are they planning? And this allows you to resolve the threat by confronting the cult and putting a stop to their plans. You deduced that they are that the cult is trying to summon summon Dionysus through the veil. This is the cult is led by the Abernethys, the former owners of the Whately camera, and they are behind the cult of the fruitful vine, which is the cult in question. You know that they are going to be this evening on a pleasure barge in the River Thames called the Prosimnus, where they will be conducting a bacchanal and using that as a means of completing their summoning ritual. So that's so yeah, as I said, all that remains for them, but yeah, all that remains on that one is actually stopping the threat itself. So there's no further investigation is required for that one. We also have in play the Satanic Mill, yet where as it was determined last time, there are at this particular mill the Battersea Works, owned by Sir Archibald Bulstrode. An unusually high number of children have been dying or going missing at the factory. After the professor's initial investigations last time, you found that the furnace powering the factory seems to be some sort of site for sacrifices to take place, which may well explain these disappearances, though you have a little more to work out before you can take down this threat, which are basically either how are the deaths at the Bulstrode Works being covered up, and who is aiding Sir Archibald. That will give you the opportunity to basically disrupt Sir Archibald's network of supporters and bring him to justice, or administer it yourself. And that's a complexity 8 question. Or the other question is, how is the factory dedicated to Moloch, and what boons does his protection grant? That will allow you to basically just do a frontal raid on the factory to take out Sir Archibald and the factory itself. Though that will obviously be a somewhat dangerous approach, and that's a complexity 6 to answer that one. And I will be introducing today a new threat, the Demon of Kilburn Abbey. So, Demon of Kilburn Abbey. Bartholomew Gastrell, an old friend of Hargrave House and one of the finest surgeons in London, has told you of his newest guest at the mortuary. The well-preserved body of a girl was found at Kilburn Abbey during recent renovation work, walled up in the basement. Shortly after removing the corpse, dark urges have begun to spread inside the monastery. Statues and paintings have been smeared with obscene drawings. Monks were found in sinful embrace. The abbot himself blasphemed God during Mass, foaming at his mouth. According to Gastrell, each of these events was preceded by a sighting of the walled-up girl wearing pre-century clothes and the most wicked smile. So, that is the threat that has landed on your doorstep today. I'm going to ask... I think I'm going to ask this one too. Unfortunately, most obvious choice isn't here as we don't have Priyanka, but I am going to ask, I think, Professor... there is a detail in Gastrell's story that confirms this is demonic activity. What is it?
Detail. I wish I knew as much about demons as I'm sure Eloise does. It confirms it's demonic. What on earth? Yeah, I was going to say a scent of sulfur. I guess that would distinguish it from other supernatural options.
Yeah, excellent. That's cool. And I will just fill in, as I haven't copied those across yet, but the questions for this are, how can the demon be driven from the abbey? This is a complexity 6 question. And this will allow you to resolve the threat by using innocence or piety as a bait and then performing a banishing ritual. And then the second question is why, I'll start that again. Why was the demon bound to a girl? And that's a complexity 8. And that will allow you to resolve the threat by performing a ritual to rebind the demon to the girl's corpse. Thereafter, the hunters have access to the custom move Demonic Insight. So those are the two approaches you have for this this particular threat. So yeah, the obviously what you know about this this particular threat to start off with is obviously there is Kilburn Abbey itself, which is just kind of towards the outskirts of London, an old ancient abbey there. And obviously the body of the girl is still currently at the mortuary under the care of Dr. Gastrell. So there's one there. Oh, I've also added onto the because it hasn't been mentioned by name yet, but it was mentioned in the initial thing for the Satanic Mill by Aggie. You know that the local MP for Battersea, that Aggie has been kind of trying to get some aid in the search for her son from. It's called Lawrence Stern. He's the local MP for the Liberal Party. So that's another person. I just added them to the list of NPCs under the Satanic Mill as well. So that's another approach you have available to you. But yeah, with that, I'm just going to ask again. From what I recall, we had. Did we have a mask to resolve? Or did we either have a group mask or just any individual masks? I think we were all done at the end of last session, but if anyone believes contrary, do shout out. Cool. And as ever, if you want to change your dawn questions now, again, feel free to do so. And if not, then, well, I mean, even if you do want to, then next I will see what you all want to be getting up to during the day phase today.
I think I do have memory as a servant. I don't think we did that last time.
Yeah, that's fair. Yes, because I know we spoke about.
I gave Priyanka a memento, but that was because she asked me to for the resolution.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
If I recall correctly. Yeah,
yes, that's it. But yeah, we might not have actually done memory as servant itself. Yeah, that's cool.
So I think Fujisawa would have given her trick parasol to Lady Camila. She probably knows how to use it much better than Fujisawa does.
That's fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Now, does the trick parasol, did that come from one of my moves? Is it a one-use only one?
So yeah, it came from your armory move, and I used it and then erased it from my personal quarters. But I think it's legit for me to give it to you as a.
So now it becomes like a normal personal item, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that limitation on it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, because memory as a servant just lets you create one out of whole cloth. You wouldn't the other move that that you can take as a factotum that lets you like move used items to someone else's thing that you wouldn't be able to use on those temporary ones because it's because it does go away. But yeah, that's fine because you're just saying, yeah, this thing exists. So that's cool. Awesome. No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. So yeah, no, with that, I'll ask what people want to get up to during the day phase today. I'm going to start with you today, actually, Fujisawa, and I'll just go across in the order I can see people on my screen, as I usually start at either end. So I'll.
Oh yeah. Okay. Curveball. I think I definitely want to have a scene with Greco in a dream. I think that would be fun. And then I'm not sure. I could go see Madame Sorokin, or maybe go somewhere with one of the other hunters. I have a few different ideas of things that I could do. But it would be helpful for me to hear what everyone else is getting up to.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds good. Lady Camilla, how about you?
I was thinking that maybe I'd pay a visit to Edwin Belmont, who's one of our informants now, and see if I can get any information about the munitions factory, the Bulstrode Works, or about Archibald and his associates, since Edwin knows about government stuff.
Yeah. That sounds good. Thank you. And yeah, Professor, how about you?
Well, I need to get a hold of a personal item of Sir Archibald, so I think I'm heading to his residence, and I got to come up with some excuse to be let in and swipe something.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Knowing Alois, probably a book if he can.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. So I'll come back around to you, Fujisawa. Is there anything you want to kind of join in on, or are you just happy to kind of get up to your own devices?
Yeah, I think Fujisawa will just take a personal day today. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good excuse to use our person Friday if the need arises anyway. So
yeah, totally.
Excellent. Cool. So I think.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was thinking also, I don't know if this is technically in the dusk phase. It is, I think it is technically in the dusk phase, but I thought I'd just let people know that I think we should make a trip to the armory in the dusk to get some new weapons before we go out on the night phase, but that'll be in the dusk phase.
Yeah, that's fair. That's yeah, it probably makes sense to do so. Cool, no worries. So yeah, in which case I think Fujisawa, we will start with you as your as you meet with Greco in your dreams. What do you think you're dreaming about when Greco makes his appearance?
Yeah, I think first we might get a shot of Fujisawa uncharacteristically sleeping in her kind of very sparse Spartan kind of servants' quarters. And then we cut very abruptly to this like beautiful kind of bright scene. Fujisawa is walking barefoot through like a traditional kind of Japanese home, quite a large and like beautiful one, not quite a mansion, but large enough. And we see her walking through the halls. It's clear that she knows this place quite well, either because she's dreamed of it before or because it's based on a place from her life, from her past. But she sort of passes like these open shoji doors that look out onto a fragrant garden full of pink chrysanthemums. We hear kind of the melodic dribbling of a garden fountain. And she walks into a large room with a low dining table in the middle. There's food already set out that like kind of, it looks delicious from afar, but in that like very dreamlike way where like when you focus on something, it shifts. When she like looks into the like blue lacquer bowls, um, the food is sort of like fuzzy and kind of shimmering. It looks not quite edible. But I think more importantly, her sister is sitting at the table, kneeling, not eating, just staring at Fujisawa with this blatant contempt. And Fujisawa sits at the dining table across from her. And perhaps that's when Greco shows up.
Yeah, and I think it's just that very dreamlike thing of there's just suddenly that a voice off to one side that says, "Hello, miss. It's nice here, isn't it?" And you turn and sort of sat on one of the other sides of the table is Greco. He appears to be he's got a small pile of mochi on a plate in front of him, and he's eating one as he speaks to you.
I think Fujisawa looks startled. She's had this dream many times before, and this has never happened, of course. And so she like turns sharply toward the voice. You're the boy from Cremorne Gardens.
That's right, Greco. This is I've not ever been anywhere quite like this before. It's very beautiful though. And he'll kind of smile.
You find the uglier bits the longer you look at it. Do you do this often? Walking into other people's dreams?
Most of the time, most of the other people can't see me.
Oh yes, that sight we share. A strange gift. Has it always been like this for you? Have you always been able to see things that other people can't?
As long as I can remember, yes. I don't know, maybe not always, maybe not when I was a baby, but no, as long as I can remember.
Fujisawa, I think that she looks sad at that. And I think she'll say, I see. So you've had plenty of time to be used to it. For me, it's more of a punishment, I suppose.
I can understand that, I suppose. The things I see aren't always as nice as this. So I can see why you'd think that.
I think Fujisawa nods and her gaze sort of drifts away from Greco and back across the table to lock eyes with her sister. And I think Fujisawa is wearing in this dream a like pure black kimono, and her sister is wearing a white one. And I think she's like talking to Greco, but still looking into her sister's identical face, and says, yes, I've seen many things that I wouldn't quite call pleasant myself, but these days, I suppose I'm more alarmed by the moments when I'm not seeing them, when they're silent or lurking somewhere in the shadows where I can't find them. There's a place in the city like that right now. An armory. So quiet. Too quiet. What do you think that means? I think she's trying to see if, I mean, she's not necessarily expecting Greco to know about the Bulstrode works. But I think she's kind of hoping that his expertise on the spirits will reveal something about that threat.
Yeah, excellent. So I think I'll ask you to make the information move with sensitivity, please.
Okay. Let me check my personal quarters really quickly.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that the well-worn guide to London that she has, which in real life I think is like it's sort of nondescript looking, kind of tattered, but in the dream is like kind of covered in this like kind of silk book cover that looks very like of a piece with the surroundings. She opens it up and kind of lazily circles the area that the Bulstrode works are in on the map.
Excellent. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, no, yeah, you can make that roll with advantage.
Okay. So that's an 8 on the dice, and then my sensitivity is 2. That's a 10.
10. Excellent. Yeah, so we will come back to that in a moment. I think next we'll come to yeah, I think we'll come to you next, Professor. So you're able to find out where Sir Bulstrode lives. It's actually probably not far from Hargrave House. Only a few streets over. His house does not have a view over the factory. It's in Mayfair. It's not ostentatious, but it is a large and presumably very expensive townhouse. Yeah, very, very classic, sort of neoclassical, the white stone and the sort of columns next to the steps leading up to the front door. What is your angle of attack here, as it were? How are you planning on getting inside?
I'm wondering if I just approach him as a fellow occultist.
Sure. Yeah, so that sounds Good. So in which case, I presume you'll be just sort of making your way up to the front door. You ring it, and after an almost imperceptible pause, the door will be opened by a liveried footman. He will open the door, excuse me, kind of look you up and down, and say, yes, sir. May I help you at all?
Yes, hello, I'm Professor Cockburn, and some research of mine, I believe, might be of interest to the master of the house.
I do not believe you have an appointment, sir. I can certainly see when Sir Archibald can fit you into his schedule. If you have a calling card, I will send word when he is able to see you.
Yes, of course, I understand he may be quite busy. I have some free time at the moment, so I can wait a bit. So
Yeah.
I suppose I have a calling card or something.
Yeah.
And maybe I just I draw some kind of, I've put some kind of symbol on the backside of it of
Cool.
Presumably we'll both know what that means.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds good. So I think I'm going to ask for a day move here with presence, I think.
Okay, the symbol I put is the symbol on my mystical amulet, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark that.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. Yeah, because I think you probably would be taking here rolling at disadvantage due to untrustworthy. But yeah, that will cancel that out. So you'll be rolling flat. Okay. What are you afraid will happen if you lose your nerve or fail here?
I mean, that he's just going to send me away, and I've just like exposed myself a bit for nothing.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds good. So yeah, if you would like to make that roll.
That is an 8.
An 8. And
weren't you supposed to take advantage?
Well, it canceled with my untrustworthiness and my
yeah, so I think you will see. I think what this is going to I think the complication here, the footman will kind of take your card and say, well, thank you, sir. I will pass this on to Sir Archibald's secretary, and when we can find a suitable time in his diary, I'm sure we will be in touch. I'm afraid we can't accommodate you here at the moment, but as I said, we will try and be in touch with you as soon as possible. But so essentially, what will happen? So sort of the complication that I'll give here is essentially that you can tell that the footman is trying to kind of get rid of you fairly quickly, which you deduce to mean that Sir Archibald is probably about to like leave. So you won't necessarily get inside the house, but you will be able to meet with Sir Archibald as he's leaving the house, kind of thing. If you kind of hang around there. Obviously, if you do want to mark a master up that to a 10+, you can. But yeah, that's kind of what the situation will be if you let it stand.
I mean, I do. So I don't just need to talk to him. I need to steal from him. That's the problem. Yeah, let's just I'll mark mask.
Sure, no, that's cool. Yeah, no, in which case the footman will kind of take the card from you, and you can see him kind of glance down at the name on it, and he goes to sort of place it in a there's probably like a little rack for such things just inside the doorway. But as he does so, he does turn it over and he sees the symbol on the back and says, "Why don't you come and wait for a moment in the drawing room, Professor Cogburn, wasn't it? And I will see if Sir Archibald has any time." And yeah, he will kind of usher you into the drawing room as he kind of heads upstairs. And we will come back to you in a moment. Lady Camilla,
Do you want to take a break first, or?
Oh yeah, so we've just hit 9 o'clock, haven't we? So yeah, no, that's cool. I'm good to take a quick break now. Then, if we want to come back at if we say come back at 10 past, then we'll pick things up then. And
Perfect.
Yeah, see you all back in a few minutes. Oh, sorry for being a little bit late there. I thought I'd take the bin out while I had the opportunity, and just took a bit longer getting everything sorted than planned. Cool. Awesome. And yeah, I've seen your note there, L. So that's cool. I'll take that into account when we come back. Come back to you. I'll kick off recording again. Oh no, I haven't paused this recording. So we're back. Awesome. Yeah, Lady Camilla. You are meeting up with Edwin.
Edwin.
Yep.
So I imagine the scene opens and Lady Camilla is walking down the Strand with her new parasol. And then she comes to the steps of the India House where Belmont works, and then we see her go up the steps. And then I assume she finds Mr. Belmont in his office. He works at the Afghan desk, I think, of the India office.
That's correct. Yep, he is sort of sat. He probably works in sort of one of the outer offices for one of the slightly higher ups than himself, but he will nod to you as you enter and say, Lady Camilla, it's good to see you as ever. Please do come in, take a seat.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Belmont. You are looking well, I must say. Last time I saw you, it was under unsavory circumstances, and you seemed a bit harried, but you look quite well put together today.
Thank you, Lady Camilla, and yes, thank you again for your assistance in that matter.
Of course. I hope it hasn't put you off from pursuing your interests, Mr. Belmont. We all must reach for our desires, even if we must do so with discretion at times.
Indeed, Lady Camilla. It has made, it's certainly emphasized the need for discretion. Let me put it that way. And he'll smile.
But you are a young man, Mr. Belmont, and you have much life to live ahead of you. So I hope you won't let your discretion hem you in too far.
Thank you, Lady Camilla. But in here will smile as fascinating a topic of conversation, though I'm sure I am. I suspect that you might be here on some other business.
Well, you have found me out, sir. I do have a bit of a favor to ask of you, since I know you have your ear to the ground in government circles. I wonder if you've heard any rumor or tell of the armament factory in Battersea, run by Archibald Bulstrode. Who is helping him? That's quite a large endeavor, and quite a prodigious output of armaments, which I'm sure are going to all sorts of places in the Commonwealth. Or across the empire, I should say, sorry. No Commonwealth yet, I don't think.
Not yet, no, but no, he'll say, indeed, yes, I know Sir Archibald, of course. We've contracted with him on a number of deals throughout the years. He will kind of he'll sort of stand up and say that the basics that I can tell you just off the top of my head. He was a former military man, never enlisted man, never rose to the officer corps. That was many years ago now, not long before my time. Served in the Mediterranean, Middle East, I believe. Obviously, he came back to England, started up a chain of, or started up a factory up north in Yorkshire, Sheffield, perhaps. Expanded down here to London a couple of years ago now. That's when he branched out into munitions. It'd primarily been general steel goods, some railway work previously. But yes, got some number of rather good contracts with the government, and has been, yes, as you say, prodigious output since. Obviously, in an official capacity, we don't concern ourselves with anything beyond his export business. Our focus, of course, being on things going on outside the country, as it were. However, I have had a couple of matters that have been going around the rumor mill recently. One is, well, it's hardly a state secret or the like, but he has apparently made a rather sizable charitable donation to the some orphanage in Battersea, I think, probably trying to buy over the locals. It's run by a lady, Celeste Roehampton. I don't know if you know her at all.
No, I have not heard the name yet before. Roehampton. Did you want me to roll for an information move?
Oh, yes, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, make that roll.
I mean, you're being so generous, but I should probably roll.
We'll just check that it doesn't go too bad. Sorry, I was I think it's because I paused everyone else on a roll. I think I kind of got ahead of myself. But yeah, if you'd like to make an information move with presence, and we'll see.
Oh. Oh my, that's a 5. I think I'm gonna have to bump that up.
Yeah, by all means. So yeah, in which case, yes. So I'll come up with a complication, but yeah, he will give you that information. So the actual clue itself is a sizable charitable donation, but yeah, he will also give the information about Lady Celeste Roehampton, and the actual name of the place is. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, the Battersea Home for Needy Orphans. Which Lady Celeste is the chief benefactress of.
So that's one clue, or
yeah, that's one clue.
Okay.
I'll say the other thing. The other thing that's a little more sensitive, there's been a fellow called Crowther, Alexander Crowther, sniffing around. Former East India Company. I've had dealings with him before. He's vicious, dangerous, good head for business. I've heard rumors about some deeds for land in Africa that he's been trying to get investors to pick up in. Probably a scam, but there might be something to it.
As soon as an Englishman hears of land in Africa, he'll open his wallet immediately, won't he?
Exactly. So that's something that's that it might be something, it might not. And yeah, again, the clue there is deeds to land in Africa.
All right.
But he will say, if you are looking into Bulstrode, though, I would tread carefully. He has a lot of friends, and, well, if not friends, at least people who owe him. I know Special Branch have been keeping an eye on his place as well. There's been some union agitation down there. So be careful if you... And he'll kind of, make a kind of, a sort of vague hand gesture and say, if you get involved in anything down there may be people watching. Again,
Your warning is well taken.
We've already spoken on the necessity of discretion, Lady Camilla.
Of course. And I appreciate everything you've offered me. And as she turns to leave, she stops at the doorway and she turns around. You know, Mr. Belmont, I've been thinking of having a party soon at Hargrave House. I would love to invite you and introduce you to some friends of mine you might find interesting.
Very kind of you, Lady Camilla. I shall try and keep my diary free. And he'll
expect an
smile.
invitation.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'll just put those names down as well. Excellent. So, in which case, we will return to Fujisawa's dreams. And he will slam shut the book Fujisawa Grakos's, and he'll say, no, miss, please don't make me go there, miss. I don't like it there. I can hear their screams. I can hear the children screaming whenever I go near there. Please, I don't want to. And I think with that, you will find yourself kind of jolting awake in bed.
Yeah. I think perhaps right before she's jolted awake, as like Greco is saying that about the screams of the children, Fujisawa, who's like still looking across the table, her sister, sees her sister, spontaneously combust, and there's like kind of these screams that like seep into the soundtrack of the scene. And Fujisawa's eyes open just as Hikumi's body is like completely charred, and we see her like fall backwards onto the tatami mat, and like Fujisawa startles awake.
Yeah. So yeah, the clue for the threat that you got there is quite simply the screams of children. But when you do awake, you'll actually find that guidebook to London is like on the bed next to you, as if you'd like fallen asleep reading it, sort of thing. But when you flick it open, you will notice that kind of no, it does look actually more underlaid. So as if it's actually underneath the existing print on the paper. You will see golden lines tracing around all the different, through the streets and along the rivers and so on and so forth, in all the different pages of maps in the book, as you have a map of London marked with ley lines, which is your mastermind clue there.
Awesome. I think in that case, perhaps we'll see Fujisawa like finally rouse herself from bed. I think it's probably almost afternoon at this point. She has not slept in this long ever in her life. But once she's prepared herself and dressed and all of that, I think she'll grab the newly altered book of maps, check in with Reginald, and then I think she'll head out. I think she's going to do some errands, but also perhaps as she does so, she'll be following the ley lines, trying to see where they might lead.
Awesome. Cool. We'll come back to that in a moment. And yeah, sorry, I lost myself in train of thought there. Yeah, so we'll go back briefly to Sir Archibald's drawing room. So yeah, you're sort of left your own devices for a moment. Eloise, the room is kind of very it's that kind of, you know, absolute peak of like Victorian decoration. It's you know, it looks like it's sort of straight out of a you know, like a kind of magazine isn't quite the right word, but you know, it's got that kind of, it's sort of almost exactly what you would expect from a man of his station and wealth kind of thing. It's very very proper. There's the big cigar humidor, and there's some decanters with port and sherry and whiskey and the like in them. There's some bookshelves in here with various books and the like on them. But yeah, like I said, it all looks very kind of you know, big leather armchairs and the like. It's sort of that very, yeah, like exactly what you would expect from this sort of place. But yeah, do you want to do anything while you're waiting for Sir Archibald, or?
Well, is there anything in here that would fit the description of a personal item?
Yeah, I think I will say again, if you want to make I'll go for an information move for this one actually, because I think it's probably slightly more appropriate, because I think there's a chance that you will find something while you are looking around.
What am I rolling this with?
Oh, sorry, this will be with reason, I think, because you're doing a kind of a search, as it were. So yeah.
Oh no, it's a 5.
Okay, so I think as you are kind of having a look at the along the shelves in here, a man, you don't actually hear him come in until he kind of until you hear him speak, but he's a quite a large man. He's got big imposing mutton chops, like big wide flaring nostrils. His voice is like sonorous but loud as he speaks to you. Or I mean, he doesn't really speak. It is more of a not quite a shout, but it's definitely a raised voice. And he says, "I don't know what the bloody hell you think you're doing here. I thought I'd made myself clear to you lot. Now, if I ever catch you snooping around my house again," and he pulls a very well-crafted looking sort of revolver from inside his coat. It's sort of chased with gold, and he pulls, you know, and he does kind of cock the hammer back, and he says, "Now, I would like you to explain to me why you think I want anything to do with you or your fellows, whatever you call yourself." So obviously, if you wish to spend a mask to avoid this particular course of action, you can. But otherwise, we can continue playing it out.
Do we have also like threat masks on the table too?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we're a little short on them at the minute, actually. No, we've got the I don't think there's one for this one. There is one for the Gin Lane murders, Mask of Silenus. And there is, I think there is also the Mask of Sacrilege for the Demon of Kilburn Abbey. I'll put those on the threat tracker in a little bit.
Okay, but there isn't one for the
Not for this one, no, not specifically.
But we can use those for any role, right?
It does have to be kind of related to
that threat.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's
Okay,
right.
got
Yeah.
Well, failing this role is my task. Is it now a failure and I proceed to get out of here, or are we not yet?
No, it's not necessarily a failure, because
Okay.
you can always try other means of getting some of his personal belongings. So it's not necessarily a hard failure on that task. You are certainly in a spot, but yeah, it's not necessarily an
Yeah.
outright.
Well, as long as I'm not. I don't know.
Oh, I guess as well is Fujisawa, are you interested in getting in on the action here?
It's so tempting. Who wouldn't want to join?
I'm interested in seeing how Alois plays this.
Yeah, sure.
So I might hold on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's let that roll stand, and we'll try to talk our way out of this. I think. Sorry, I'm doing that thing again where I'm looking at my items so I can form whatever tactic I use.
That's fair.
I think, okay. Yeah, I think I'm just. God, I still have to get the item on this. Okay. Well, anyway. Yeah, I think maybe you misunderstand me. The conclave of the darkened moon, that's who you believe I'm.
Well,
approaching you on behalf of?
you drew this. You drew their sign on that calling card you left for me, son. So that's my assumption. Yes.
Yes, in retrospect, that could have been quite confusing. I'm sorry. I believe they're of interest to both of us. They're a subject of study of mine, and
And what makes you think I have anything to do with that bunch of heretics?
well, I must confess, I suppose that's why I used the symbol. That you recognized it confirms that you have information on them. You clearly have no interest in keeping their confidences. Anything you could tell me about them would be appreciated.
Excellent. I think
I think.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to show him my half-written treatise on an esoteric subject.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a day move with presence again. Or composure, actually. Either works, I think. So feel free to go with whichever of those you prefer. I would invoke untrustworthy here, but the item counteracts that, so you'll be rolling a flat roll. And yeah, it's a composure or presence, your choice. What are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve here?
I mean, that he just, I'm completely just lying, so that he just completely sees through my deception and sees me for exactly what I am. Yeah, that would be not so good.
Sure thing. Awesome. So yeah, if you'd like to make that roll, and we'll see how it goes.
I will say this is presence because the composure was taken care of by that bit of whiskey he had while he was waiting. There we go. That's a 10.
That's a 10. And I think he will ease back the hammer on the pistol, and stops pointing it at you, though he still has it in his hand. And he says, "So, supposing you are who you say you are, what do you want from me? What do you expect me to tell you about this conclave, as you call it?"
Only what you're willing to share.
I had some fella poking around at the factory, one over in Battersea. I'm sure you know it. They said it was at some sort of what was the word they used for it? Nexus, I think they called it. Said it was supernaturally significant, was the way they put it. They were interested if I would partner with them. They said they had things they could offer me if I joined them. I said to them, I'm a self-made man, me. I got where I am with hard graft. I don't need to be messing around in the shadows with some bunch of sorcerers or whatever they like to think of themselves as. No, I'm an honest, upstanding man, me, and I'll have no truck with business like that. And because you got a 10, because you get a 10 on that one, you can tell he's absolutely bluffing you here. I mean, you think what he said about the conclave is probably true, but you know he knows what's going on with the factory. That is absolutely that part of it. He is absolutely bluffing about here. So, do you have anything you can tell me about this conclave?
I'm just beginning my investigations, but perhaps we can agree that if you come across them again, you can let me know, and whatever I learn, I'll be happy to share with you.
Very well.
If it puts your mind at ease, I think, from what I can tell, they seem rather harmless.
And I think as well, if that's all, Professor, I need to get to work. I don't have the leisure to spend my day hanging around at home. But he will kind of nod and say, but if you do hear anything more about these folk, I would be interested in learning more about it. Know your enemy and all that. And he is going to reach into his pocket and pulls out a small gold case, flicks it open, and pulls out again like a kind of business card, calling card type thing. And he says, if you need to speak to me again, you can usually find me down at the factory. And he passes you the card. Hand them this, and they'll let you in to see me. Now, that's enough excitement for one day. And he hands the pistol off to the footman that's standing behind him, and says, I've got to get moving. So he'll kind of gesture at the door. Apologies for being an ungracious host and all, Professor, but perhaps I shall see you again at a more convenient time.
Look forward to it. Just to end on one last lie.
Excellent. The calling card he's given you, though, will essentially count for what you need for the society, as he's given it to you personally. Awesome. So, yeah. So I'm just losing track of where I was. Probably start wrapping things up for the day phase now. But are there any last things anyone would like to get up to before we move into the dusk?
I did want to see if Fujisawa could do a quick information move while she's wandering the streets, following them out.
Sure thing. If you would like to make an information move with sensitivity again, I think it'll be.
Okay. That's a 12.
Excellent. So, perfect. I think I think that what you will find is a so I'm just deciding which one I want to go for in this one. Okay, yeah, I think that works. You are following these ley lines, and it is much as was just described by Sir Archibald himself, that you feel the tug of the ley lines drawing you back down to the river, back down towards Battersea. You can see the mill, its big smokestacks still pouring out smoke and cinders as ever. But looking up at it just for a moment, you see the shape of a bow, as in bow and arrow rather than a ribbon, in the smoke. It is like golden and almost made of flame in the smoke rising from the smokestacks. And you will see as well not over the factory itself now, but kind of looming looming over the river itself, a figure, an indistinct figure, humanoid, but no more than that, surrounded by a golden aura. And those will be your somewhat cryptic clues there. So the golden, the figure of the golden aura is the mastermind clue.
Amazing.
The clue for the and it is for the for obviously the Stannic Mill there is a bow of burning gold.
Yeah. So I think probably the last thing we see of Fujisawa is her with like her arms full of the like flowers and vegetables and whatever she's bought at the market, as she tries to kind of get as close as she can to this figure with the golden aura, until she loses sight of it.
Awesome. Cool. And with that, we will move into the dusk phase. So I think I'll probably do as normal. I'll do I'll start off the dusk phase, then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back for the night phase proper. So we have a oh yeah, there we go. That's fitting. So yeah, do we have any dusk phase moves that need to go to? Don't think we do we?
I think I'd like to have us all take a visit to the armory.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, so
Sir Admiral
that's
Bingley Green.
yeah. No, that's cool.
You don't have to role play it out completely or anything like that, but I'll put in the chat what the suggested items are, but you can also make things up.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I'll give you a moment to sort of look over those. The next bit we will do is obviously our paint the scene question. So today we're going to go with the map room. This room is littered with maps of the city, of England, of the world, and some of them are highly unusual. Name one and describe why it's so strange. So yeah, I'll give you all a moment to think over that, and when you're ready with an answer, we'll leap in with those. And oh yeah, let's go with yeah, let's go for an on the nose one tonight.
I think for our question about the map room, I think we see a map of like a hand-drawn map of the 9 circles of hell, and it's annotated such that it suggests the map maker has been to each of these circles and had a lot of thoughts and feelings about it.
Awesome.
I think I'm seeing a map of London, and I think it's one of those pull down maps, you know, like you have at schools or something that roll down, and there's like almost like a cellophane that comes down on top of it. So it looks like a normal map of London until you drop the cellophane on. And then you see all these kind of, they're not lines like in Fujisawa's map, but they're almost like changing like cloud formations across the city that concentrate into like pitch black areas and then other areas that are more gray. And no one actually knows what they mean, and they're very changeable. Like from day to day, they look completely different. And I think the meaning of them has been lost. But when you just stare at it, there's something hypnotic about the map, and it makes you almost fall into a dream state.
Excellent, thank you.
I think there's a map of suspected cult strongholds, and there's a big ink stain spilled over the area of the map that the conclave has their headquarters.
How'd that get there?
I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and uncheck my mystic amulet.
Excellent, excellent. Perfect, thank you very much. No, that's cool. Thank you. So I have selected our unseen for tonight. We're going to go with Moonlit Mudlarking. It's in the second row, third column, highlighted in pink. So the first one's a paint the scene, which will be for everyone. And then I've gone, in order to, I've gone El, Brian, Jose. So if you want to look over your prompts while we take our break, then feel free to do so. Obviously, when we get back, I'll be seeing what people want to do this evening. Also, if anyone wants to do their Janus masks when we come back, that's also cool. But yeah, like I said, I just thought I'd give you the unseen to have a look over first.
And I chose for my weapon, I chose a fuck ton of dynamite. So
excellent.
I'll take that.
Excellent. Perfect.
And I think I'll take the holy water bombs.
Nice, nice.
If we want to try to answer a question, should we do that now or after the break?
We'll say after the break, I think.
Okay.
But
cool.
yeah, if you do want to try and answer a question, we can do that as well as ever. But yeah, I will. It'll say if we come back at 1:15, and then we'll kick off our night phase. So I'll see you all in a few minutes, and I'll actually pause it this time. Excellent. So yeah, first of all, I will check in and see if anyone wants to tell us their Janus mask if they have one with a mechanical with a narration. That's the word I'm looking for.
I have one.
Cool. Yeah. No, by all means.
We see Eloise at the school that we've seen him at before, and there's a opera that, as a reward to some of the students, a group of them have basically won a chance to go watch an opera, and there's a group of boys basically just laughing about, joking about how this is not, a particularly great reward, because this opera is going to be, I don't know, it's an Italian, and they don't even know, they're not even going to know what's happening. And Alois is kind of sitting nearby and overhears, and he already has like gotten the in anticipation of going, he got the book of the opera and translated it for himself. And so it's like, oh well, this, so he goes into professor mode before he's yet become a professor, and is in explaining to them what happens in the opera and what the story is. And they all the other boys just all look at each other and grab Alois and tie him up and like shove him under a bed prior to leaving for the opera. So he misses his chance to see the opera because he is left just tied up. And then I think we see them returning from the opera and say, oh, what a shame you missed it. It was everything you said it would be. And they untie him, and I think Alois just doesn't say a word to them and just walks away and leaves them just kind of laughing and shrugging.
Excellent, thank you very much. And did anyone else have a Janus mask they wanted to do now?
Do you have one, Elle?
I do, but you can go ahead.
You go ahead first.
Okay. Mine is a flashback to my young adulthood before I was a servant that shows my most significant professional triumph, which is one we've seen before, but this will be a different spin on it. We see two families gathered at a wedding. Both families are proud, but one is positively elated, overjoyed even, because this marriage will help them dig out of the pit they're in. They have money problems and no sons, but luckily, two identical, beautiful daughters. One, Kikumi, is a gifted singer with an incredible memory and naturally sweet disposition. The other is not particularly gifted at anything at all. She has a vindictive streak that she's learned to keep well hidden. But she's ultimately obedient and pliable and young. And it doesn't take much to find an up-and-coming businessman, a silk importer, who would marry her and perhaps offer her father well-paying work in the family business. The ceremony continues at a Shinto shrine outside. The sun shining so brightly on Fujisawa's pure white wedding kimono that it almost appears to glow. And as is the custom, the new couple sips sake from lacquer cups to bind themselves together. And we see like Fujisawa's intense gaze across the bowl, the cup, at her new husband, a near stranger. And finally, we kind of smash cut to Fujisawa lying stark awake next to her new husband, that same intense gaze. She's in the house from her dream, watching his sleeping face with utter contempt It's a face that she won't ever love. She refuses to. And as the darkness of night descends on Kyoto, the singing of the cicadas sounds to Fujisawa like screaming.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, let's see. Okay, so mine is narrate a flashback showing how you faced a reckoning for the crimes you helped the explorer commit against your village. Okay. So just as a reminder from the previous masks, we saw the girl assist Lady Camilla in basically poisoning the elders of the village, who all were rendered imbecilic. So many in the village believed that witchcraft had brought the elders down, and there were constant suspicions and whispers and accusations. Finally, a shaman from a neighboring village was called to investigate, and his dreams led him to the hut by the stream where I was working. He came in without a word, and he walked directly to the shelves of compounds and picked up that vial of yellow powder that I'd used, and he turned to me with eyes so knowing that I couldn't resist their intensity. And I just hung my head in acknowledgement of my own guilt. And when all was revealed, many of my fellow villagers argued for my death, even my wide-eyed husband, who seemed in shock. But the shaman said that my blood would defile the village further, and he advocated for my exile instead. And so I was forced to leave the village one rainy morning at dawn. I went calmly without looking back, knowing that my punishment was more than justified. But a hardness grew in my heart, and my jaw clenched as I thought on Lady Camilla's role in all that had transpired.
Excellent, thank you very much. So yeah, I think if you do want to try and answer a question, then you may do so now, and then we'll go on to seeing what you want to get done this evening.
What are our options here?
So I think the only one,
the Satanic Mill.
Yeah, the Satanic Mill. You could go for an answer on that. You currently have 5 clues in total, and could obviously bring in potentially some mastermind clues as well, if you wish to. Obviously, for the first question, which is how are the deaths being covered up, that's complexity 8. So you could roll on that one, but it would be a
long shot.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you can bring in a lot of mastermind clues on that one, or yeah, the other one is how is the factory dedicated to Moloch, which will be and what boons does protection grant is complexity 6. Obviously you can't yet. I don't. Do you have? No, you don't yet have any clues for the Demon of Kilburn Abbey, so that one is off the table.
I had an idea about the lower complexity question.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. The question is, how is the factory dedicated to Moloch, and what boons does his protection grant? I think that the factory may have been constructed primarily as a sort of site of child sacrifice to Moloch. Like the factory is the pretense for the the factory is the pretense for having this like giant furnace in the middle of these ley lines where you can throw kids in, rather than the other way around, right? So I think that yeah, what they're doing is like the kids' deaths have nothing to do with the work that's being done in the factory. It's just that they're being thrown in this furnace that's surrounded by this circle of power. And then the grueling work is sort of an excuse that they can use when parents and such come knocking. And I guess for the boons that it grants, it seems like it's mostly monetary, right, or financial. Like what the factory produces is sort of you know, auxiliary to the boons that are being granted by Moloch. Like all of the profit is really Moloch's doing, it seems to me, based on our clues. What do y'all think?
Yeah, and it seems like somebody's feeling guilty about why make the charitable donations to the orphanage unless they're unless it's hush money. Oh, yeah, hush money
Yeah.
would make sense, right?
Yeah, we've got children disappearing.
You got children disappearing, and maybe some of them lived at the orphanage or were from the orphanage, and so that's hush money to keep them quiet.
And if you know that you're recruiting these children for sacrifice, you want orphans and other like people who don't have families to check out after them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We've got, I mean, the map of ley lines. This location of this factory could definitely, the ley lines could connect here. So that's why it was a good place to build this. And then the gold falcon coffer with a collection of gold coins that was found at the factory. So I mean, I think we could definitely say it's part of spreading these bribes around to just quiet people down, or maybe just if bringing wealth is what these sacrifices are for, maybe that's like the symbol of wealth that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems that
it's just a part of the instrument of the ritual.
And that also indicates that Lord Falkenberg has something to do with this, and so somehow maybe he's tapping into the energy of this of these rituals and their impacts on the ley lines to power his mastermind scheme that we still don't know what it is.
Yeah, he's siphoning a little bit of the juice off the.
He's tapping into the juice. Yeah.
Cool. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far.
Yeah, so I guess the two, like I think that the ones you've sort of brought in so far all make a lot of sense. I guess what relevance do you think these land deeds in Africa have to the whole thing, if any?
I think they could be if we're on the theme of hush money, I think the building of this place was probably a big enterprise and took a lot of doing, and you had to grease the palms of a lot of city officials, and maybe they did that with these kind of actually worthless land deeds in Africa. But of course, as Lady Camila says, give an Englishman a land deed in Africa, it'll open up his wallet. So yeah. But the bow of burning gold, does anyone have an idea around that one?
Yeah, I don't quite know what to do with that one.
What was the?
That is fair.
Where did we get that one? That was.
It was from Fujisawa side in the when she was investigating the ley lines. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think of a bow as something that Moloch might not like. um, uh, so maybe.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say for context, I think it's a line from a William Blake poem.
Oh, it's a line from a William Blake poem. Oh.
It is indeed, yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm always associating gold with Lucien, so
It's fair, yeah.
so maybe Lucien has played along to go on with this these things, but he's actually going to somehow take advantage. He's not just siphoning off power; he's actually gonna blow the whole thing up somehow. And so the bow of burning gold is an indication of his intention with this factory to use it in some more catastrophic way.
Ooh, yeah, maybe because of Lucian's nebulous plans, or plans that are nebulous to us.
To us, not to him.
He like maybe doesn't. It sounds like he wouldn't agree with what Bulstrode is doing here, but like needs the power from the factory for whatever he's up to. So maybe he has tried to sort of subvert the factory completely, but because of Moloch's protection, that's been a lot more difficult than he had foreseen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just kind of thought.
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just the image of this bow of burning gold is just this factory is making weapons, so maybe like in addition to just bringing wealth, it's also just we're getting enchanted weapons out of the factory. They're a little bit that's just a metaphor for what's happening to the firearms that are being made here.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I like that. And yeah, I also like the idea that maybe there is some kind of mystical like maybe Lucien is sort of trying to interfere with that, and maybe that's kind of the wedge that you can use to get an advantage going into this kind of thing.
When we attempt to resolve, you mean?
Yeah. Well, I suppose depending on how well the roll goes, but
yes,
yeah,
definitely. If we attempt to resolve, yes.
Yeah. Cool. So you're up to a +1 with all of those in there. If you want to bring any more of the mastermind clues in, you can. But otherwise, if someone wants to make that roll,
I can do it. I haven't rolled today. I don't. Have I rolled today? No, yes, I did. I got a 5. Well, okay, we'll see. That's no recommendation. But I'm happy to do it. Okay, where's the roller? All right, so it's a +1. Oh, it's an 11.
11. Great. Yeah,
Hey.
that is a the success. You will your theories are correct. You do have there are no particular complications with resolving this either. So yeah, we will probably it will in that case, yeah, canonize the fact that maybe Lucien has been doing something that is kind of counteracting some of the full power of the demonic furnace. Awesome. So with that, I will now ask what everyone wants to get up to this evening. As I said, you do have this this bacchanal going on the Prosymnus. They obviously do now also have the potential to go after the factory if you wish. But yeah, I'll go just around in character keeper order this time. So Lady Camila, what would you like to do this evening?
Well, Let's see. It seems like the Gin Lane murders have been. It's sensitive. That's time sensitive, really, because tonight is the big ritual, right? So, but you're suggesting we wait for the Bacchanal for Priyanka.
I think she had some
Dionysus.
interest in.
Yeah, no, we can. Yeah, no, I mean, if we can put that off till next time. If you'd like to have Priyanka around for that one, that's fair.
Yeah. And one possibility is that, I mean, I've talked to David about this, is if we do the Gin Lane murders now, during this night phase, I can double up night phases and have us give us a second night phase for when Priyanka comes back, and we can shtup Dionysus if that's the case. But that might throw us off too much, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, we can always see about doing that if you want. Yeah. That's
so yeah
cool.
So the answer to the question is, yeah, let's go crash the party on the boat. Or Lady Camilla would like to crash the party on the boat. Oh no, the other way around. I'm sorry. This means Lady Camilla would like to do the Satanic Mill.
Yeah, sure thing.
Sorry, I got confused.
Yeah. I mean, the dynamite could come in handy either way.
That's why I got the dynamite. I thought big factory might require some, larger explosives.
Excellent. Perfect. No, that's great. Thank you. And Fujisawa, how about yourself?
I think I'll tag along for the Satanic Mill. Yeah, that's my answer for now.
yeah, sure thing. And Professor.
I'm just realizing I don't think I picked a weapon, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, no, you can do that now. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Just need to do that. Yeah, do we all just want to go to the Satanic Mill and
save those little children?
It probably is going to benefit from being mob-handed on that one. So that's fine. Awesome. Cool. So in which case we'll do this will be we'll go for a relatively quick night first night, especially as you're all in one place. So what I'll do is we'll do the first night phase, first unseen prompt, which is a paint scene for everyone, and then I guess I'll kind of get your what your approach is to the factory, and then we'll start playing things out from there. Mm-hmm. So moonlit mudlarking. The Port of London is one of the busiest in the world, and with so much cargo being loaded and unloaded, the odd crate ends up overboard. The ebb and flow of the Thames deposits this lost cargo up and down the riverbank. Under the light of the full moon, the desperate or optimistic pick through the sucking mud of low tide, stinking of shit and rotting fish, in the hope of finding treasure. So this one, as I said, paint the scene for everyone. What debris from industry, trade, or home life is found washed up on the mud banks of the Thames, and what does it tell us about the city?
I'm seeing like a bolt of silk with it's clearly from India and has the little mirrors sewn into it, and it's washed up and it's all muddy and discarded. I think what it says something about the way the British Empire has treated India and the beauty of India and the traditions of India, that this beautiful cloth has ended up in a mud bank on the Thames, covered in soot and shit. And that's what I got.
I think we see some children's clothing that's sort of sooty and battered, washing up on the shore. And it tells us how short and brutal childhood could be in this day and age.
It's like a tangle of bones from some butcher shop, and like floating, sitting on top of it is like a bull's head.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Cool. So I am just going to be away for 1 second, but do feel free to kind of discuss amongst yourselves how you want to approach the factory, and then I'll catch up with you in 2 secs.
Well, I want to use a fuck ton of dynamite eventually. So it's got to go into the furnace, but I can't just throw it into the furnace because then we'll all die.
Yeah, fuck ton of dynamite usually comes at near the end of the plan.
The end of the plan, yeah. So I just want to make sure we get to the fuck ton of dynamite. Maybe we put it near enough to the furnace that it's almost like a time bomb, but we have to get it in.
I still have an exploding pocket watch, so I guess that makes a good detonator for a fuck ton of dynamite if you want.
Oh, do you? Oh no, you don't have that card because you had to give it to your peoples, right? So the card that lets you get into.
No, that
you don't have that anymore. Okay. So
so this armory just keeps giving us more weapons like every.
I can give you lots of weapons. Yes. Oh, wait, and you can fine tune your weapon because you can make one up. I assume David will have to approve of nuclear warheads. Uzis. So I guess we have to decide whether we're going stealthy into it to blow it up, or I guess.
Would it be possible for Lady Camilla to bribe one of the guards to bring the dynamite in? Perhaps the dynamite's also disguised. They
disguised.
What they're carrying.
Yeah, I could try a bribe. Or we could just try to bribe the guards to let us in to set it. Didn't last time Alois got in by getting them drunk, the guards, right?
Do we think dynamite would kill a child vampire?
Do you want to bring Daniel with us?
Well, he can be the perfect person to deposit the dynamite in the furnace. It's not going to hurt him. I don't know.
We do know he's fast.
That's certainly one approach. The other things that obviously you do know, Lady Camilla, is that like as was mentioned previously, there has been some union agitation going on in the factory, so you might find some sympathy amongst them to get you in, or conversely, you also know that the place is under surveillance by the special branch of the police. So again, with the right strings pulled there, that might be a Daniel would be a very effective person for sneaking in here,
He doesn't get distracted by eating someone.
Yeah.
Now the special police they're there. My understanding from what Edwin told me was that they were there to keep the strikers or the labor unrest under control.
Yeah, or at least keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't get out of hand. But yeah.
Right. So we're going into a situation that's going to have a lot of eyes on it. So maybe stealth is not going to be so easy unless we can find a way around all these eyes. Fujisawa seems like a good choice to try to get the agitators agitated.
Yeah, I'm game for that.
It might be a great diversion. So if there are strikers or at least some things going on outside, that could be a diversion for maybe the rest of us others to sneak in. The acid pan, wow. I can't wait to see that in action.
Yeah. No, awesome. That sounds like a plan. In which case I think I will I'd frame you, Fujisawa, into a pub, not far away from the factory itself. You spot kind of some of the factory workers without any difficulty in here. They're sitting around drinking. One of the there's a man kind of he's dressed in sort of that's what I'm looking for, like overalls stained with oil. He's kind of talking to the people. He's a confident speaker, clearly used to doing this. He's kind of got a pamphlet held in one hand, and he is holding forth on the exploitation of the workers in the factory by Bulstrode and the management. I think he does, as you enter, unless you've made any effort to dress in a way that does blend in, he is going to notice you come in because you do seem very out of place here. But he will. It doesn't break his stride speaking, but you definitely see him kind of give you a curious look, as it were.
Yeah, I think Fujisawa hasn't made any effort to blend in. So she's kind of walking in with her sky blue kimono and her hair clip in, and she sort of takes a seat among the people listening to him speak, a prominently placed seat, and is like kind of watching him intently as she listens. And I think the moment that he takes a pause, she says, like, very almost like nonchalantly, so if I may ask, and she sort of raises her hand, if you're aware of all of the issues with the factory, why are you here tonight in a pub instead of dismantling it piece by piece? I'm hearing a lot of talking, not seeing a lot of action.
Well, miss, we don't want to get to that straight away. If we can work out an arrangement between us and management to keep working in a way that's safe and doesn't take advantage of all of us workers, then we're happy to keep doing the work. But the way it stands at the minute, we can't go on. We can't go on like this. The number of poor kids who've got hurt or worse in there. He sort of shakes his head.
I think Fujisawa's face goes slightly darker. She's sort of flashing back to that little argument she had with Priyanka the other day. And she sort of cuts him off, I think, and says, the management doesn't care about you. You can sit here all night and think of peaceful solutions, but they don't want to see you. They certainly don't want to compromise with you. The only way for this to end is for you to end it. And she's sort of looking around at the other people gathered to see if she can find any supportive faces.
Sure thing, yeah. And I'll ask you to make a night move here with presence, yeah. I don't think that you have a relevant. Yeah, I don't think haunted is particularly relevant to this. So yeah, if you want to make that roll with presence, what are you afraid will happen if this goes badly, or you lose your nerve?
I think she's afraid they'll assume, with her being this stranger who's obviously very out of place here, that she's been sent by Bulstrode to like goad them into doing something rash that will be ultimately against their ultimately unhelpful to to their goals.
Yeah, cool. I think it's worse than that. I'm just trying to think which direction I want to take that. I think it's worse than that because yeah, because I think that they'll think that there's something going on here, and what's more, it will kind of actually encourage some of the ones who may have kind of skipped out on work this evening to sort of go back to their shifts, as it were. So I think there will be more innocent bystanders around when whatever happens at the factory happens. But yeah, if you'd like to make that roll.
Yeah. That's a 12.
12. And
right? My presence is 2, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So, yeah. it's I think it's some of the men will start kind of nodding along with that. And I think one of the men who's been kind of a bit quieter will turn to the sort of the leader, as it were, and say, I think she's right. I think she's right, Gregor. It's I don't think we can talk our way out of this. I think they've been doing something to the kids. I don't think it's just normal. And there'll be kind of a lot of muttering going around between them. And the man will turn up to you. We'll kind of make a show of like washing his hand on a rag before holding it out to you, and say, "Well, you're certainly a gutsy one, Miss Gregor Wozniak. Nice to meet you."
She shakes his hand. Fujisawa. And it doesn't take guts. It only takes remembering that they're the ones who need you.
Well, come on then, lads. Let's go cause a bit of trouble. And yeah, and I think sort of the additional sort of benefit here is that they are going to be kind of particularly eager and effective in their. It will be more than just a distraction. Essentially, they will kind of get you. They will get you inside. Quite effectively, overpowering the external guards and starting to just generally cause trouble. That's going to keep the rest of the guards inside diverted.
Awesome.
So I think we see kind of this group of workers storming the front guys. It's probably that sort of thing where when they see kind of a bunch of people in sort of overalls and stuff coming towards it, they start to the guards on the gate start to open the gate and don't get it closed before they realize that this isn't just people coming on for their shift sort of thing. You're all able to kind of enter sort of in this mass of people if you want, but if you want to get in by alternate means, that's also fine. Sorry, before we go on any further and before I forget, we will have our next unseen. So Owen, sorry, this is back to you again. Two youths come to blows over a case of whiskey with a couple of bottles still intact. As they push and shove in the slimy mud, how do we know this fight is about more than just the find?
Yeah, we see these two youths struggling in the mud, the muck coating their trousers, their shirts ripped open, the buttons popped off, in the case of whiskey, kind of slipping from their muddy hands. And soon one of the youths, I think the readier, like lankier one of them, gets a solid grip on the case and wrenches it away from the other with such force that the two remaining bottles pitch out of the case and shatter onto another container on the shore of the river, or riverbank, I guess is the word. But the boys keep fighting, undeterred by the loss of the whiskey. And we see as they grab at each other's hands that what they're really fighting over is the simple gold wedding band on the lanky one's finger. Cheap though it is, and now stained brown with mud. And their shouts of it's mine, over the whiskey have turned into she's mine as the stockier one tries to wrestle the ring off of his opponent's finger. And then the screen goes black as there's a sickening crack. Something in the finger breaks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So yeah, Lady Camilla, I guess I'll see what do you think you're up to at this point in their proceedings?
Well, I think the original plan was to somehow that the protest was going to be a distraction that would pull all the guards in one direction, but then when the opportunity to slip in with the crowd into the factory presented itself. I think. What do you think, Eloise? Should we just slip in?
Yeah, I think Eloise wasn't going to miss up a chance to go to a pub, so I think he was there to witness everything. And yeah, he's bringing his glass with him, but he's just marching along with the crowd.
Nice.
Yeah, and I guess Daniel is in Lady Camilla's arms as they sneak in with the crowd, and I imagine the crowd and the guards are all kind of fighting with one another, but that we slip off and enter more deeply into the factory because we're headed towards the central furnace, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you will see the as the sort of the writing develops outside. You'll see some of the guards are running. You'll see kind of some of the guards from up on the catwalks inside heading out as well. They are armed, some of them. They don't seem to actually be firing shots yet, or at least not in anger. But things are definitely getting intense outside. But yeah, I think you'll be able to kind of make your way towards the furnace without any immediate problems. You'll get sort of big metal stairway leading down into the basement where the furnace is. As you are approaching the stairs, though, the heat coming up from the basement is incredibly intense. It's incredibly hot down there. And I think as you make your way down into the once you can sort of see into the cellar, you will see a humanoid figure, bigger than a man, probably a good 10 foot tall, made of fire with kind of steam and smoke curling up around them. They look like a minotaur essentially. They've got the big frame and a big bull's head with sort of the horns tapering off into flames. Kind of pacing back and forwards in front of the furnace. So yeah, Lady Camilla, Eloise, does one of you have a plan for dealing with this thing?
I don't know if we had a Minotaur plan. um, yeah, Lady Camilla hesitates. She puts down Daniel, and she's also carrying a fuck ton of dynamite, so that is slowing her down a little bit. And she turns to her two comrades and she said, "The Minotaur is unexpected." Any ideas?
I think Fujisawa whispers to Eloise, Professor, weren't you reading a book on demonology? I'm no expert, but that certainly looks like a demon.
Do you detect the smell of sulfur?
Um, I think Fujisawa like kind of sniffs at the air, but there's only like a sort of smell of smoking meat, I have to imagine. A little grim detail there. But I think what she does instead of responding is to sort of subtly or gently push Eloise forward.
I could try to draw away the creature, and perhaps Daniel could sneak in a special package, as we've been discussing. Daniel, are you ready for that? You are a very speedy boy. You'll have to get in and out quietly and fast, and then you'll get your treat later.
Yes, yes, Lady Camilla. I'm sure I can manage that.
So I guess Lady Camilla is actually not only carrying a child, a fuck ton of dynamite, but she also has her elephant gun.
Excellent, excellent.
So if you two would be...
Yeah, so this will be a night move.
Yeah, I figured.
So it will probably be with vitality, and oh no, sorry, I'm talking about it will be with sensitivity, because it's a supernatural creature. But although you do have your move, I believe, that lets you.
Lets me resist the influence of supernatural beings. So I'm not sure if the impact that's making me it be sensitivity is coming off of the creature, or yeah, I don't know. So it's your call.
I think it's fair. I think that's
okay.
a fair call.
So it would be a composure roll then.
Yep, composure roll.
Sniper composure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, what are you afraid will happen if this goes wrong?
I'm afraid that I won't make a dent on that Minotaur, and it'll charge me and kill me.
Yeah. I think it's worse than that.
Of course.
That I think it will it will it will take both you and Daniel, as he's with you at the minute, and the extra sort of supernatural power of Daniel will kind of amp it up essentially, more so than it is at the minute.
Ouch.
But yeah, if you would like to make that roll.
All right, Daniel, go with Fujisawa and Alois, and they will give you the signal. Remember, duck, duck, goose. All right, here we go. So it is a composure roll with advantage, though, right?
Yes, with advantage. Yeah. Do you have any conditions at the minute? You don't know. Cool.
So I won't put the modifier on it for now, and I'll just put 3 die, and then I'll go from there. All right. Okay, so it is a 3 to 4. It's a 7 plus 2. It's a 9.
Yeah. We'll go to our next
Complication.
unseen, and then we'll pick up on that.
Oh, mark my gun.
So the next unseen is Brian. So an older woman picks through the mud. Lost in her own world, she does not seem to focus on items of monetary value. What do we see her collect?
Yeah, I think she's dressed almost like in a childlike way. Like the image I have is like Red Riding Hood, including like a little wicker basket. She's kind of humming for herself as she stumbles through the mud, and you see her picking up a piece of ceramics and taking her already filthy clothes and like wiping it off, and she can see like the design of flowers on this little shattered piece of a teacup or something, and she just claps her hands in delight and puts it in the basket and goes searching for the next piece.
Yeah, excellent. So I think that what's going to happen is you fire the elephant gun at this creature. For all that it is a creature made of fire, it still doesn't seem to appreciate that. I'm sure Hargrave House has some interesting loadouts as well for the weaponry. So I think it gets its attention. It charges towards you, leaving kind of a trail of ash and cinder in its wake. You duck out of the way of its assault. I am going to ask you to take the condition scorched. I think we'll go with, as it's as I say, it's hot enough that even if it doesn't quite fully connect with you, it still burns. And I think Daniel darts forward with the bundle of dynamite towards the furnace, but as he kind of reaches the warding circle that you saw, Miss Eloise, he is going to bounce off of it. The kind of the dynamite slides along the floor. It's near the furnace. It's probably not quite as close as you would want it. And he does try and get to it, but you can see it's almost like that kind of mime sort of thing where he's trying to kind of
I will run forward and try to give Daniel a hand. See if we can get this into place.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think I'm actually going to ask you to make a roll for that, because I think you are able to cross the threshold no problem, and you can kind of jam the dynamite underneath the or close enough to the furnace that you reckon it will likely destroy it. And I think in fact it's almost at that moment when the Minotaur's head snaps around, seeing you've kind of crossed the threshold into its into the sort of the warded area, as it were, and it is going to charge you now, Alois. But can I ask you to make me as well a night move, please? Assuming you're just trying to dodge out of the way, it will be with vitality. But if there is some other approach you wish to take, then feel free to do so.
No, I think that is. I think I will use. I've got Obertfig's butcher knife. I will just be using that in my defense as I try to.
Yep, absolutely.
Get away from this thing.
Absolutely. So yes, what are you afraid will happen if this goes badly?
The Minotaur is going to throw me into a furnace.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think it's worse than that though as well. I think the creature will also toss the bundle of dynamite away, which in turn will probably explode because it's very fiery. But that's but yeah, if you'd like to make that roll, I don't think you have any. No, you don't have any conditions that will interfere with this, and you will be rolling at advantage for the butcher knife.
It's an 11.
11, excellent. So you duck out of the way, probably like cutting through and disrupting briefly one of the big flaming arms as it grabs for you, but it misses. You roll out of the protective circle, and as the Minotaur swipes at you, there's a big flash of sparks as it kind of its big fist crashes into the side of the furnace. And then even under the kind of the furnace sounds in here, you all hear that sudden distinctive hissing sound of a fuse starting to ignite as its hand sort of passed through the fuse and the dynamite.
Get out of there!
You will all manage to get out of the furnace room without too much difficulty. The Minotaur does kind of come for you, but you can tell it's essentially bound to this room. It can't leave. It's obviously like some sort of guardian spirit. As you reach the top of the stairs, you will be confronted by Sir Archibald and a couple of his guards. Sir Archibald has his pistol pointed in your direction, and we'll go to our last unseen, and then we'll wrap things up here as you see fit. I say for you, last unseen is several bedraggled children poke a bloated corpse with sticks. Those who do not double over retching rifle through the waterlogged effects. What last traces of this person's life or death do they run off with?
So I think it's the corpse of an old man, and so there's maybe 4 or 5 children. One of them's retching, and then the other 3 or 4 are trying to go through his pockets. There's also a couple of rats in the area, in the darkness and in the muck, maybe violating the corpse as well. And I think one of the boys pulls out from the coat pocket of the man a pair of reading glasses that are cracked and a small Bible. And says, "Look what I found!" And he goes off running, and another kid chases him. And then maybe we see a flash of the old man when he was alive, and his with his spectacles on or his reading glasses on, poring over his Bible and whispering to himself as he walks near the river. We don't know how he died.
Excellent. So, you kind of all come up the stairs from the furnace to be confronted by Sir Archibald and a couple of his goons, and he'll say, "What the bloody hell do you think you're doing?"
Another demon, Fujisawa whispers to Eloise.
I strongly suggest you make way, sir. There's about to be a bit of an explosion, I believe. And she attempts to push through.
I think he's going to kind of, keep the gun trained on you and say, "And you think I'm just going to let you walk out of here? Is that it?"
I'm still waiting for the explosion. My good man, you have lost already. There's no way you will stop the destruction of the furnace. Would you also bring down the wrath of Hargrave House upon you? This enterprise is over.
And they'll say, "Then I don't think there's much left for me to lose, is there?" And he's going to go to pull the trigger on the pistol.
Okay.
What do you do?
I'm wondering if, hold on one second. Let me just check. I'm wondering if Daniel might respond to the threat to Lady Camila.
Absolutely. So I think he raises the pistol, he's already got the hammer cut, goes to pull the trigger, and then in a blur, Daniel is at his throat. There's a a gout of blood as his throat is just ripped clean through. The two goons he's got with him just they kind of just freeze where they are, looking utterly shocked. And I think with that, I will. You will face no further opposition in leaving the factory, so I will leave you all to have your last moment of walking away from the explosion.
The explosion happens, and that's finally the explosion happens. That's our Charlie's Angels moment, Elle.
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
Excellent. So, as the furnace detonates behind you, there's a sudden feeling of release almost. Fujisawa, the sort of the strange silence that you felt here before dissipates as I said, as kind of smoke and rubble is strewn about the area. And that's where we'll leave things for this evening. So thank you very much, everyone. We will do our dawn questions quickly. We will do rewards at the beginning of next session, largely because I haven't actually written them yet. So that's we'll pick that bit up next time. But we'll do our dawn questions now. So everyone answered a question and everyone resolved a threat. So you will get those. Lady Camila, did you experience an echo in the night?
No, I didn't experience an echo in the night tonight, and I don't think I did my other two questions, but I'm at my very last little tick mark for XP forever, so I'm over the top anyways.
No worries. I'd argue that you kind of that your scene with Edwin sort of felt like, I mean, not leveraging associative in a bad way, just in a what's it, but like I said, it's immaterial anyway, but I feel like you did meet that one anyway.
Okay, sure.
And Fujisawa, how about yourself?
I don't know if I experienced an echo in the night. I can't remember.
I'm blanking now as well. I felt like there was something, but I'm also now not sure.
Oh, I think
I felt the description of the person with their clothes covered in mud seemed to echo the foreman, Gregor, and his sort of oil-stained clothes. But
I don't
know if that was intentional, but yeah, that was something I picked up on.
Yeah, I guess I don't really need the XP, so
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
We're all getting to the end of the line with the XP.
Yeah.
No sexual desire this time.
Yeah.
I think we saw my private life though.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you. And Eloise, again, yes, for the first two, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yeah, I preloaded a bull's head before the Minotaur.
Yes, indeed. I'm cool with that because that felt appropriate. Did you cause problems for your society while helping Hargrave House? I'd say probably actually the scene with Sir Archibald probably counts for that. I mean, probably not a problem anymore.
Potentially, yes.
But yes, that was definitely had the potential to cause problems for your society.
Yeah.
And did you let down Hargrave House while serving your society?
No. Well, I mean,
I'd say
that card that he gave that I turned over to him, I guess. But...
Yeah, I was also going to say the paint the scene question with the
yes,
map.
and the
Yeah.
thing, yes.
It was evidence of sabotage, so I think that's fair.
That's right.
Cool. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to stop our recording now. So thank you very much all.